everyone! Last week we began the story of Cho'gall, in which we talked about the war on Draenor, how he encountered the Shadow Council in the Void, and how he ended up traveling to Kalimdor with Garona half-Orcan hot on his trail. This week we're going to continue the storyline, but there is a little bit of a problem since they've made a fair few changes with the Chronicles, especially when it comes to Garona, the spells placed on her mind and her son Medan, the child that she had with Medivh. You might wonder, who the hell is Medan, since he never played a part in the game, he's been mentioned once in the short story, and only really exists within the comics. With the Chronicles, it seems like they've gone ahead and simply removed it from the story altogether, which on its own I'm quite happy with, but it does leave a gap as to what happened with characters connected to his story. Hopefully, Chronicles Volume 3 will explain the new story with Cho'gall, maybe give an answer as to what happened with the Pale Orcs and Azeroth, maybe also use that book that they made to pass on the teachings. Who knows what they're going to do, but for now, all that we have is the story from the comics, so keep in mind that it's most likely going to change. Either way, within the comics, we find Cho'gall in Silithus serving the old god Kafun. Although we have defeated its physical manifestation during Classic World of Warcraft, the real old god still lies imprisoned beneath the world, and Cho'gall wants to set his master free and bring chaos to the world. When the child of 3 realms becomes as light, the ancient power will be released. The earth will tremble, the seas will rise up in answer, and all will be madness. A new day will dawn, bringing with it chaos or peace. That's the prophecy connected to Medan, a prophecy which Cho'gall wants to make a reality, with of course going for the chaos rather than the peace. This version of Garona still had those magical spells placed on her mind, and she didn't trust herself enough to raise her child. She handed him over to her old friend Meryl, while still keeping an eye on him from a distance. A good thing too, since the Twilight Hammer, they went on the attack. She was able to save him, not knowing that Medan was merely bait and they actually wanted her. The spells were activated, Garona was captured by Cho'gall, who used their control to send it on a mission of disrupting the meeting between the Alliance and the Hordes. Peace between the factions, that did not work so well for the plans, so Garona was forced to attack them at Veremor. Varian recognized the murder of his father, and both sides were quick to throw accusations at one another, accuse both factions of staging this assault. Those with a bit of a clearer head, they could easily see that races from both factions were attacking, but all the same, the peace negotiations, they were a failure, and the Lich King was on the move, so they went home to protect their lands. Medan had figured out that it was his mother who had tried to save him, and he showed up at Veremor to help her out, walking straight into the hands of the Twilight Hammer, while Garona was captured at Veremor. It was clear that someone was controlling her, and through agonizing spell work, Jaina was able to uncover what was going on, that they had taken Medan to Ahn'Qiraj. Valera Sanguinar, together with Meryl, who had also shown up at Veremor, they went out to save the child, who was not having the greatest time of his life right now, as he was hanging out with the corpse of Kafun, listening to the mad whispers of the Ancient One. The voice was trying to turn him to their side. Cho'gall planned on placing similar spells on his mind as they done with Garona, but before they had a chance, Valera and Meryl showed up. The Blood Elf confronts the Ogre, buying them time to make a portal to get out of there, but she doesn't stand a chance against the might coursing through Cho'gall. She did have a demon living inside of her, the demon Kafrnatir, who was roaring to be let out and fight. Cho'gall could hear the puny demon inside of her call out, taunted her to let him play, and despite a better judgment, she did. Not even Kafrnatir was strong enough to defeat Cho'gall, but it did buy them enough time to get away from there, to which Meryl, he offered himself as a host for the demon. The old god Kafun is not pleased with Cho'gall. He has failed him, and punishment is in order. Agony, such as Cho'gall did not know existed. The more power that he wields, the more disfigured the ogre becomes, while Medan, he's proven to be far too stubborn to control. But by playing it right, killing him will discharge his energy and burst the bonds that imprison their master, as surely as if the boy had released the power himself. It will free their master to unleash chaos onto the world, and the ancient word of prophecy would be fulfilled. Cho'gall then goes about sending a Faceless One to Veremor, as well as weakening the barrier between Azeroth and the elemental plane, pushing the elements to fight for their master. All of the attacks, they're repelled, and Medan eventually learns more about where he comes from, that his father was the guardian Medivh, and he learns how to wield the light, the arcane, the elements, pretty much any power under the sun, and he's even able to combine them all together. They even bring the Council of Tirisfal back to empower him and make him the new guardian. Atiyesh, the great staff of the guardian, that's restored in his hands, and in the final confrontation with Cho'gall, with all of their gathered might combined, they are able to stop his plans of setting Kafun free. It even seems like Cho'gall is dead, but like what happened at the Tomb of Sargeras, he was able to survive. Still, a hard-earned victory, while the war against the Twilight Hammer, that's not over quite yet. Meryl and Garona, they decide to hunt them down, while Medan, he goes off to train some more, and then disappears from the story. Like I mentioned earlier, these events will probably be changed with the upcoming chronicles, and we'll get a new story with Garona and Cho'gall, but for now, this is all we have. One thing that does ring true in both versions is Cho'gall serving the Void and the Old Gods, believing in the prophecy of the Hour of Twilight. With the Cataclysm, the Black Dragon Deathwing, he shook the world to its core and changed it forever.
And all will burn beneath the shadow of my wings.
With the pre-event, the Elemental Unrest, we saw Cho'gall, who naturally joined the fun of all of this. His image appeared around Azeroth to speak with the cultist of his Doomsday cult, while he also commanded Elemental Lieutenants to attack Horde and Alliance capital cities. He personally complimented Hydromancer Rafa on empowering Gazrilla, the adored pet of the Old Gods, while also having a conversation with Crown Princess Teradres, whose beauty you might remember from Maraudon. Now Deathwing, he didn't just come out to give the world a makeover, he was working for the Old Gods to bring about the Hour of Twilight, the foundation on which the Twilight Hammer is founded. Unlike the Pale, who saw it as a time in which shadow would envelop the entire universe and snuff out all life in existence, back then it was described as the moment in which the Old Gods would break out of their prisons and rule the world once more, taking out all life on Azeroth. You could argue that by breaking out of the prisons, they would be able to complete the corruption of the Titan spirit inside the planet, by which they then would snuff out all life in the universe. Either way, that was their mission, and for it, Deathwing recruited some powerful allies to get the job done. There was, for example, Ragnaros the Fire Lord and Ahn'Qiraj the Wind Lord. They joined him, as well as Cho'gall and the Twilight Hammer, who we first encounter in Feralis. The Gorduni Ogres, they've got their hands on a Gorduni orb. Now there's no way that the Gorduni made these themselves, someone has to be supplying them. Someone is giving them gifts of power, and we need to find out who it is. So we capture a Gordok Ogre, who, after a bit of motivating, he spills the beans and informs us that it's Cho'gall and the Twilight's Hammer. They've been busy recruiting the ogres at Dire Maul, as well as gaining access to the remnants of Eldrafalas, full of forbidden power.
Behold! The world you see before you has been judged. Fire, water, earth, air, all shall perish before the elements. Burn and drown and crush and suffocate. Join us and embrace the inevitable end. The Master's power calls. You will be reborn, stronger than flesh. Strength beyond form, power in the infinite. Swear your allegiance to me. The Master wants, he sees and wants and hungers. And you will be remade in my image. Wait! Infidel! A heathen among us! An intruder! You! Show yourself. Prove yourselves, my ogres. Slay this insect. Blood for the Master! Blood and suffering!
We fight with Cho'gall's disciples, Moltar the Burning and Gluck the Quenched, Fire and Water, but they're no match for us, so Cho'gall decides to come down himself. Notice, by the way, how they have the same scar on the chest as Cho'gall has, a scar that he obtained from fighting at the tomb, which I guess they thought looked really cool and wanted one as well.
Enough! I'll stain my hands with your blood! Murder! Murder!
Placed in a block of ice, we're completely helpless and unable to stop Cho'gall from casting his flaming pillar of doom. But thankfully, Chandris Feathermoon on the Alliance side, or Orhan Ogreblade for the Horde, they show up to save our lives. Together, we bring down Durk the Earthmaster and Glek the Wind Reaver, forcing Cho'gall to retreat.
Enjoy your hollow victory, insects! The darkness comes! May it console you as your world rots.
Ogres only understand strength, and we have humiliated Cho'gall right in front of them, so he will not be finding any followers here. A little ogre dance to celebrate, but the war against Cho'gall and the Twilight's Hammer, that continued within the Twilight Highlands. While playing on the Horde side, this is where we find Garona Half-Orcan again, who's on the hunt for Cho'gall. She traveled all this way to speak with the famed seer of the Dragon Maw, but she's worthless, all riddles and rhyme. Maybe we can be more helpful, as we're sent out to pick up an Eye of Twilight, which we can use to peer into the very heart of Cho'gall's lair. After proving our worth to the Eye, a price paid by blood by slaying a whole bunch of the Shaman of the Black, we get to see what the Eye is able to see, and we check in on Cho'gall.
We have confirmed the Horde presence at Dragonmaw Port, Master. They are now in league.
This changes nothing.
Nothing changes. Crush them! Crush!
One of our agents in Orgrimmar.
City engulfed in stone and sand, we see it! The eye sees into his heart!
Bring me the eye.
Our agents have been outed and killed, Master.
Blaspheme! Blaspheme, disgust, hate!
No matter. Where one eye closes, another opens.
The Master sees all! The Master knows all!
We will know our enemies' hearts, for they are weak. The eye, now. The shadow of the Master covers this world.
Darkness, all darkness!
Our enemies fight one another across the highland. Fools.
Blood!
Wait! There is another. A mortal dares peer into the eye.
Ha ha! Brave little plaything!
I see you, little one. You want to see what the eye sees, do you?
Show it all!
Behold the chaos to come.
Madness, bliss!
Do you like what you see, mortal?
The Master sees you! He sees! He wants and wants!
During the introduction quest for the Twilight Highlands, we uncovered Twilight infiltrators in both Orgrimmar and Stormwind, but both of them were quickly taken care of without any major losses, and the counterattack into the Highlands that could kick off. The Alliance, they work on turning the local Wildhammer dwarves into their allies, while the Horde, they work with the Dragonmaw clan, placing Warlord Zayla as their leader.
My scouts learned all about this one. Warlord Zayla.
A story for another day, Varian. For now, let's focus on Cho'gall. Besides orcs and dwarves, we also joined the Earthen Ring in taking on Izorath, a massive servant of the old gods. Now, not an actual old god, but one powerful enough to nearly devour us. In the end, we're able to put the BC down, and we even earned the aid of the Red Dragonflight by assisting them in confronting Deathwing and securing the entrance into Grim Batol. Now, as you can tell, a lot of things go on in the Twilight Highlands, but for Cho'gall, we make our way to the Twilight Gates, where with our forces gathered, we're ready to assault the main strongholds. Bombs are dropped in from the sky, major enemies are distracted so our troops can move further in, while we also try to escort some Kor'kron troops to support Garona. Now for the Alliance, you party with Matthias Shaw, but I feel like this storyline that is more appropriate for Garona. Either way, we try to get some reinforcements inside, but Cho'gall, he doesn't really appreciate enemy troops sneaking around.
Horde scum! I was once like you.
Our old master's small and hungry.
You cling to your mortal shells,
Bags of blood and bone and tears.
trying to deny your insignificance.
Finish it! Finish them all!
The Kor'kron reinforcements, they're all dead, but thankfully they did tell us where to find Garona at the start of the mission, and Cho'gall, he doesn't even really notice us. We help out Garona with taking out some of the assassins that are sent after her, we kill a whole bunch of the Twilight Hammer in the Citadel, but our main objective is stopping them from creating an ultimate weapon. It's an artifact, supposedly being created with the powers of an old god, but her investigation, that's hit a dead end. She does know that there was a group of Wildhammer smiths that were captured here and then drowned in the lake when they were done with their services. We need some help to figure out more, so we talk to Earthcaller Yiva, who sends us the Countess Varral, the ancient spirit of the lake. She will help us if we take out her arch-nemesis Lord Cannon, who was foolish enough to throw his allegiance to the Twilight Hammer, and after doing so, she gives us Water of Life, which we can then use on the corpse of the drowned dwarf. The spirit of Forge Master Finlay, he lets us know that they were working on a very special project, an artifact for Cho'gall. They were to be rewarded for the best work they'd ever done, and they were, with being drowned in the lake. The weapon that we seek, the weapon imbued with the power of an old god, that is called the Hammer of Twilight. A hammer which Garona finds out is being kept at the altar of Twilight.
Back, vermin!
Insects, weak and small!
Look, mortal, upon the instrument of your undoing.
The hammer! Hand of the gods below.
Forged of molten blood.
Gift of the master, his gift.
Shaped upon the last altar of storm. The Hammer of Twilight.
The Hammer of Twilight.
Commissioned by the aspect of death. It is the breaker of worlds. It is not yours to wield.
Kill the intruders! Kill them all!
What Deathwing has set in motion,
No man can stop!
no man, least of all you wretches.
Show them their end!
Skull Crusher the Mountain. He smacks us away. We wake up with quite a headache, but we need to get up and get back into the fight. Together with our forces, we confront Cho'Gall's Chosen, who's mighty indeed. But we can use the altar to our benefit. We can harness the power of the elements themselves, shielding us, empowering us, as long as we avoid the Shadow Ones, since they really hurt. With the Grand defeated, our adventure in the Twilight Highlands, that ends, but our fight with Cho'Gall, that has only just begun. He has the Hammer of Twilight in his possession, and sadly, Garona didn't join us into the Bastion of Twilight, but all the same, that is where our journey takes us next.
Brothers of the Hammer, to me!
Their will is still their own!
The unbelievers still stand! Destroy them!
Crush their bodies! Crush their will!
The Bastion of Twilight stands as a dark symbol of the old god's burgeoning power on Azeroth. Various branches of the Twilight's Hammer dwell deep beneath the towering form, considered the cult's foremost command center, along with their twisted leader Cho'Gall. There, he and his servants conspire to bring the old god's apocalyptic visions to fruition by bleeding Azeroth of all sanity, hope, and life. We fight our way through many of the Twilight Hammer's most powerful troops, and of course there are bosses to stand in our way, bosses we have to face before we can go to Cho'Gall. First, there's Halfus the Wormbreaker, an Ettin who's imbued with unnatural power and stamina by Cho'Gall. He captures dragons for use as fodder in the Twilight Hammer rituals. To this end, he's enslaved a behemoth proto-dragon to aid him in hunting down his winged prey. Each week, we had 3 of the 5 captured dragonkin to help us out for a bit, until they were mind controlled back into the service, but it did mix up the fight every single week. After Halfus, we have Tyrellian and Valiona, Twilight Dragons who were magically aged into adults. They were supposed to be the paragons amongst the new clutch of Twilight Dragons, leading their brood into scouting all life of the planet. Instead, they just wasted incredible powers bickering and fighting with each other, leaving us the opportunity to take care of them.
Come closer, closer. Let us see your faces. All will be humbled before his power.
Next up is the Ascended Council, the most powerful Twilight Hammer cultists twisted into elemental beings. They have forgotten their existence as mere mortals, and from their wicked sanctum, they oversee the selection of new Ascension candidates. After tackling them in pairs of 2, they stun us and fuse into one mighty being, combining their strengths, but not even that is enough to take us out. Which leads into the Throne of the Apocalypse, with the mighty Cho'Gall just chilling there. The Hammer of Twilight is in his hands, ready to take us on.
Foolish mortals!
Usurpers' children!
Nothing you have done has...
Born of a lesser god!
I am trying to speak here.
Words, words, words! The master wants murder!
All falls to chaos. All will be destroyed.
Chaos, chaos!
Your work here today changes nothing.
Chaos, chaos! All things end!
No mortal may see what you have and live. Your end has come!
We take out the Faceless Guardians and some of the most powerful members of the Twilight Hammer, clearing the room for our final confrontation.
Enough!
To his will, all flesh succumbs. From his kingdom, chaos comes!
Yes, what he said.
Shadow and fire elementals are summoned by the two-headed ogre, as well as corrupting adherents from nearby portals. All the while, throughout the fight, the will of the old gods is trying to corrupt us, turn us against our allies, or even, at 100% corruption, they will fully transform us into a Faceless One. At 25% health, one head takes over from the other, one who has fully given himself to the might of the old gods, while the other one wasn't quite ready yet.
Brother, it cannot be.
Destiny has come!
My strength,
Too proud, he speaks in blood! Listen!
my mind.
It is for his glory we serve!
What is happening?
Gone is the dawn. Come, shades of twilight. Come, madness. Come, havoc. Come, infinite night!
At this point, the fight becomes a pure DPS race. Get him down, while darkened creations, tentacles from the floor, they assault us. But in the end, despite the might of the old gods and the Hammer of Twilight, Cho'gall is still defeated.
Brother, we are shattered. Let her finish them.
The Master does not want them near her. Brother! The Master sees!
On heroic modes, we discover that Cho'gall was not the final boss. There's actually more plans going on here as we fall down into Sinestra's lair.
We were fools to entrust an imbecile like Cho'gall with such a sacred duty. I will deal with you intruders myself!
Lady Sinestra, Deathwing's consort, she's been resurrected and they're working hard on breeding new Twilight Dragons. But this is where the story of our Cho'gall ends. An ogre hungry for power who found his way to the Fel and eventually to the Void, dedicating his life to serving the Old Ones and bringing about the Hour of Twilight. Azeroth rose up against their plans and were even able to defeat Deathwing, but his teachings still live on to this day. It's doubtful that the Twilight Hammer clan or their cult will ever truly go away, not as long as the power of the Void Lords as they still resonate through the universe. Now there is one more story to tell, the story of alternate Cho'gall, which we encountered during Warlords of Draenor. Ahn'Qiraj went back in time, around the time of the formation of the Horde, the time where our Cho'gall story began, to an alternate reality where he informed Grommash of Gul'dan's true plans with the orcs, the corruption of the Legion, eager to sell his people into slavery to gain his power. With the warning, they're able to prevent that, and here Gul'dan has already formed his Shadow Council. They even have Garona half-Orcan working as an assassin, yet all the same, they're taken by the orcs and they're used to fuel the Dark Portal. Garrosh has convinced them not to sign up with the Legion, but he did push them towards invading our Azeroth. The Iron Horde, they came in, Azeroth pushed them back, and as we stepped through the Dark Portal to take the battle to the Iron Horde, we had to quickly make a decision, and it was decided to set Gul'dan and his allies free to shut down the portal. This left us stranded on alternate Draenor, forced to dismantle the Iron Horde, while Gul'dan, he was free to pursue his own plans.
We will meet again.
In Frostfire Ridge, we team up with Khadgar and we help out the local orcs, who are dealing with massive quakes caused by Shul-Halat. Perhaps those who disturbed the Great Worm are the same ones who Khadgar's trying to track down, and as we fly into the Sleeper's Lair, we discover what's going on.
Do you feel the power they're drawing on? We should subjugate these pale orcs.
An intruder! Let's leave!
It's the Pale Orcs who already have found a way to the Void with the Narukur. They were the ones disturbing the Sleeper, and Cho'gall is very interested in what they can do. After putting down the Big Worm, we collect an all-seeing ring from Uxor the Necrophurge, which allows us to spy on the Shadow Council and figure out what mission Gul'dan has for Cho'gall.
Cho'gall, I'm sending you to Nagrand. You'll subjugate the fallen Naru inside our Shogun. I will crush it!
The Pale have the key.
All I require is its limitless power.
Notice, by the way, how the model of Cho'gall is different to the one that showed up in the Sleeper's Cave. Perhaps they're actually planning to give it a unique model, since this one is already quite disfigured and also bears the scars which he got from fighting at the tomb. All the same, Cho'gall is sent to Nagrand to subjugate Khur and gain its powerful Gul'dan. But as we all know, Cho'gall was never loyal to Gul'dan.
Cho'gall, I sent you here to enslave this thing. Where is my power, ogre? Your power?
It's my power!
You will obey, disciple. Hand over its reins. I think not.
We're done taking orders from you.
We've learned much from Quore.
We're writing a book.
You're insane. Run away, old man!
Soon, Heimel will burn. Then, the world.
With the powers of the void under his command, Cho'gall is ready to turn his back on Gul'dan and focus on his own plans. He sets his eyes on Ahn'Qiraj, which I imagine means that the origin story of our Cho'gall being kicked out of Ahn'Qiraj and all that also goes with his alternate version. The Pale and the Grand, they're working on enslaving the elements, and they've even been able to take control of Gordog, the great element fury of Earth. We have to stop Cho'gall from destroying the Naaru, so our quest takes us through the caves of the Pale. We free the elements, take care of a whole bunch of the orcs, and we even take out Gordog. Sadly, it was too late to do anything for Kur. Cho'gall had already pushed the Naaru so far that it turned into a Void Lord, and our only option was to destroy it. After that, we didn't see much of Cho'gall until the Alliance and Horde were ready to take on Ahn'Qiraj to put a stop to the ogre threats who had allied themselves with the Iron Horde. As we went in, we saw Cho'gall hanging out in his cage, laughing at us as we were forced to fight in the arena for the amusement of the ogres. Our victory was the perfect opportunity for Cho'gall and the Pale to strike.
And that's 100. Cho'gall? You sought to imprison us, Margok?
You could never control us!
Guards, stop him! Destroy them all! Raze this city to the ground!
The stones will be ours! All shall fall to darkness!
Seal the gates! Protect the palace! Ahn'Qiraj will never fall to the likes of you!
The Pale strike out at the ogres and orcs, while the powers of the void are raining down upon Ahn'Qiraj. Not really an advantage for us, as both sides would love to see us dead, but step by step, boss by boss, we're able to fight our way to the throne of the Imperator, where we find Margok channeling the powers of the stones. You might wonder, what's the deal with these stones? But sadly, that's not really been explained, a curse that happened a lot with the story in Warlords. It's possible that they have some Titan origin, since Ahn'Qiraj, he did have some influence on the formation of the planets, but no real details are given. They are powerful, apparently the source of power for Sorcerer Kings for generations, power which Cho'gall desires. On Mythic only, as Margok is nearly defeated, he shows up again to steal the kill.
I command the arcane! You know nothing of the power you meddle with, Margok!
It calls to us! We know its power will be ours!
Cho'gall! Traitorous scum! I knew you were behind this! Your reign has come to an end! The infinite night begins!
Darkness, come!
I am king! We have waited long for this moment. The true power of the stones will be realized at last.
None shall survive. We shall be the unmaking. Destroy them. Wash over this world.
Cho'gall unleashes the power of the stones and he channels it into Margok, ending the Sorcerer King's life. He believes they have the power to unlock the true might of the stones, which might suggest a connection to the void, but again, who really knows? The darkness washes over us as Cho'gall unleashes his might. Waves of the Pale try to bring us down, but in the end, like our Cho'gall, the ogre still falls.
Come.
You can never escape.
Throughout the fight, Cho'gall warned us that darkness would swallow the world and all would hear his call. The he that he mentioned in his final words never really showed up during Warlords, unless he was talking about our commands, but that doesn't really make sense, considering that he stepped away from Gul'dan and the Legion and he started to focus on the Void. We can only wonder what more they were planning to do with this amazing expansion. But here ends the story of alternate Cho'gall. Cho'gall is so popular that he has even been taken over into other games. Within Hearthstone, he's been turned into a legendary warlock card, while he also battles within the Nexus, as friends can team up to control the two-headed ogre, one of the heroes that I really enjoy to play.
The pathetic wretches of this new realm already fear me.
They should. So many souls for me to harvest.
And I shall begin with theirs. This Nexus, all its power It will be mine!
Those who oppose me invite their own demise.
If the two of us have learned anything fighting fools like these before, it's that
When we work as one, none can stand against us.
we are Cho'gall! We will rule the Nexus!
Or destroy it.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have done the story of Cho'gall. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Now I can't wait for Chronicles Volume 3 to get more details on what happened to him after leaving the tomb, but that will be released in March. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, guys, see ya!